once more. I help injury victims receive the care and compensation that they deserve when they are injured by the negligence, carelessness, or recklessness of a motor carrier or truck driver. Bottom line. But if you've been injured in any other situation, feel free to give me a call as well. If you're in the Houston area, you can call me at 713-766-3322. That's 713-766-3322. If you are in San Antonio, you can contact me at 210-504-5464. No, I'm sorry, that's 6454. Ooh, that's horrible. Yeah, if you are in the San Antonio area, you can contact me at 210-504-6454. Okay, so as I said before, I am working out the kinks of this stream thing. I'm not going to use this camera as much in 2020 as I have in the past. What I would like to do, I would like to get back to vlogging as my primary way of marketing my firm. However, I have to build out my websites first. And so I probably will get back to the whole vlogging thing in the midpoint of 2020 because I feel like it's going to take me probably a month to build out Austin Truck Accident Lawyer and Fort Worth Truck Accident Lawyer, maybe a month and a half. Definitely by the end of March, I should have those two sites up, and I'll probably have El Paso Truck Accident Lawyer and Laredo Truck Accident Lawyer up as well. And the main thing right now is I'm just working trying to find locations. You know what I mean? That's the thing. I have to find locations, which isn't the hardest thing to do, but I just want to make sure that I'm in a really decent area because it has so much to do with the type of clientele you'll get. So like I said, I'm just in here in the office today. I have a new client coming in at 3:45. I got to run over here and pick the kids up in a bit, and they're getting out of school early, so I have to pick them up a little earlier than I normally would. I just need to make sure I have everything together before he comes in today. I'm pretty sure I do. But, the thing is, I can tell you this. I've become much more particular about the types of cases that I take now compared to when I first started off. When I first started off, I would take pretty much any case that came through the door, just trying to do something, have something to do. Now, I'll turn the case down. I mean, if I don't even, it doesn't even have to be about the facts. It can just be like, and not trying to be mean when I say this, but it can just be the person. If I feel like, we're not going to be a good match as, a client and lawyer, I'm just like, hey, nah, I can't take that case. It's just not going to work for me, because I'm working by myself for the most part right now, and that's another thing that I'm going to change in 2020. But I work by myself for the most part right now, and so all the interaction about my cases takes place between just me and the client for the most part. So you have to have an ability to be able to get along with one another, and hey, like if you need something from me, just let me know, because I'm not always perfect. You know what I mean? Well, I'm not perfect at all, but I mean I'm not a perfect person. So if there's something that you feel like you're not getting, hey, just tell me, hey, RJ, hey, Reshard, I need this from you, or can you look over this again? And I'll get to it for sure. You know what I mean? And I think some people like the interaction or the ability to interact with their attorney personally. Other people, they just want to sign the paper and have someone do it, and just never be contacted again about their case until it's, I guess, time for them to talk about trial or settlement. But I try to have a real hands-on approach to my cases because I think that people appreciate it more. I think that people like the idea of being able to personally talk to their attorney versus always having to go through a case manager or always having to go through, a paralegal and never getting a phone call from their attorney. I don't always follow up like I say I'm going to. I try the best I can, but I try to make sure that there's a very open connection between me and my client, because I've worked with other law firms, and that can be an issue a lot of times when you talk to people about how they feel they're being treated. A lot of them will be like, hey, well, you're the first attorney I've talked to on my case for like 7 months. And I'm like, wow, like, how is that possible? That's not possible. And with the types of cases that I am now doing, I just don't think that that's possible at all. I think, because there's such bigger cases, and there's more at stake. There are much higher stake cases. You have to kind of be very particular about what you take, and you have to have open lines of communication with you and the and the client. So, I'll still take car accident. Like this case that's coming in today is a car accident case, but it's a good car accident case in the sense that, I think that there's a lot there to work with to try to, restore my client to where he should have been before this accident ever happened. I mean, if this is not even an accident. I'm not even going to go into all that. But like I say, it's a good case, so I'm excited about that. So I got to come back over here, work on that, and I got to get a capture card for that other camera, like I said before. I wanted to talk briefly about some of the things that were going on with trucking news. I saw something on Transportation Nation where they were talking about the impeachment of President Trump and saying how that would be a problem for truckers in the future. I'm not exactly sure why. And this is not a political blog, and this is not a political rant, or this is not a political whatever the people want to turn it into. It's not, because I try to stay away from that. There's a jury. There's a guy who he's not a jury. He's not an attorney, but what he does is like he helps you read juries and stuff like that. His name is David Ball. He's written a lot of different books on like damages and how lawyers should look at things. And his whole thing is, as an attorney, you should go out of your way to have a very bland social media platform, or you should not really put too many contentious ideas out there, because you might be doing a disservice to your client by being someone who's always like extremely political about everything that you see in the world. And so I believe he's right about that. I think that we live in a world now where we're pretty much throwing out our right to privacy. I think Supreme Court Brandeis would be rolling over in his grave if he, just saw the number of ways that social media has kind of just injected itself into the private lives of citizens across the U.S. So it's harder to maintain a level of not secrecy necessarily, but just kind of like just maintaining the right of privacy, really, because everything is shared, everything is out there in the world, and it's really weird to me, because I didn't really. I mean, my generation didn't really grow up in an era where we were taught to like share our business and stuff like that. I mean, I grew up in an era where they used to have like milk cartons with the kids' names, faces on them that were missing and stuff like that. Like we could go and ride bikes and go do all this stuff around the neighborhood and stuff, but you just kind of didn't tell your business so publicly about every single thing you do to strangers. And then you see these things like on the news, how they're talking about how people are like hacking into like the Ring Central cameras in people's houses and talking to kids and asking them, what are you watching and stuff like that. So I'm just kind of really hesitant. I embrace technology definitely, because I understand that the way that we're moving in this world, you kind of have to. Automation and everything is replacing people at a very rapid rate. But at the same time, I'm always a bit wary of, just overly embracing the idea of technology. Because the thing about it is, with social media at least, I guess I am ranting about something. The thing with social media at least is that the people who create all this stuff, they don't even really let their kids use it. You know, I mean, that's what trips me out. Like, I read this article one time, or not one time, but I read this article a while ago that talked about, Silicon parents and stuff, like Silicon Valley parents, and how, they don't even really allow their kids to use the same stuff that they're selling to the rest of us. And I'm like, well, why is that? You know what I mean? Because they feel like it's not a very healthy way for, kids and for people to go about their daily lives. But they're creating these things for us to use. It's I don't know, kind of a hypocrisy, but, whatever. Anyways, so on Transportation Nation Network, it has an article that says trucking group warns impeachment of President Trump could endanger truckers. And so I thought that was a really interesting article because everyone is talking about the impeachment of President Trump. That's the hot topic right now. Everybody's wanting to have an opinion about that. But this article was written 2 days ago, December 18th, and it's on the Transportation Nation Network, which I believe is like an offshoot of OOIDA. They're saying for only the third time in American history, the U.S. House of Representatives has approved articles of impeachment against the President of the United States. On Wednesday night, the House approved 2 articles of impeachment, abuse of power, and obstruction of Congress against President Donald Trump. 2 Democrats broke ranks and joined with the Republicans in opposition to Article 1, abuse of power. 3 Democrats also sided with Republicans, voting in opposition to Article 2, obstruction of Congress. The impeachment of President Trump is a culmination of what Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Democrat from California, admitted last week at the Women Rule Summit in Washington was a 2.5-year effort by the democratically controlled House. The matter is now constitutionally bound over to the U.S. Senate for trial, where it is expected to be taken up early next year. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, Republican from Kentucky, has already signaled the articles of impeachment against President Trump are likely to be dead on arrival in the Senate. Now the question appears to be, will the articles ever reach the U.S. Senate? According to a new reporting by both CNN and Fox News, Speaker Pelosi is considering delaying the transmittal of the articles of impeachment to the Senate. Such a move would be unprecedented in the nation's history. While most political experts agree President Trump will likely not be removed from office regardless of what Speaker Pelosi does or decides, many are warning the partisan political divide in America will only worsen as we head into the 2020 election cycle. Now, where is it talk about the truckers? It says, warning for truckers. One trucking group is already warning truckers could be endangered by possible political unrest as a result of the impeachment of President Trump. I never thought about that. This could very well set off a chain of events that could result in nationwide riots that will impede truckers' ability to make deliveries of products for Americans' consumption. James Lamb, president of the Small Business and Transportation Coalition, SBTC, said, while there is sure to be a backlash by the president's supporters, we are more concerned about probable violent reactions of the left when the Republican-controlled Senate expectedly votes to acquit, he added. There's a poll that says the majority of truckers do not support impeachment. A strong majority of truckers do not support the impeachment of President Trump, according to a recent poll. Results of an online poll commissioned last week by the SBTC revealed that nearly 80% of truckers are against the impeachment and removal of the president, while only about 17% are in favor. It says about 3% would like to see President Trump censored by the U.S. House of Representatives, but still not removed from office. While not scientific, the poll is notable since it collected a respectable polling sample size of well more than 400 residents. And, it talks about how will the market react, will it be a bear market, bull market, what will happen? It basically says that, we talk about Richard Nixon and Bill Clinton, okay? So observers of history will remember that impeachment proceedings against Richard Nixon and Bill Clinton were each associated with an equity bear market. In Nixon's case, the S&P 500 fell 23.7% from the date of the Watergate break-in in 1972 to the date he resigned in August 1974. Wow. The bear market in Clinton's case did not last as long. That decline lasted for 6 weeks between mid-July and the end of August of 1998, during which the S&P 500 on an intraday basis fell 21%. However, as CNBC recently reported, economists point to record highs in the stock market and continued strength in consumer confidence levels as evidence the impeachment of President Trump will not cause a prolonged or even short downturn. This would be much welcome news for a trucking market, experts say is experiencing a freight recession in 2019. So, that freight recession, I don't know what they're, I could click on that link. I don't think I should do that, though, because then I would want to read that other article. But I think that freight recession is occurring largely because of the trade war that we are in with China. And, some people would blame Trump for that, but, we kind of saw all this coming. The thing about it is we're looking for someone to blame for the economy and the technology that is replacing people at a much more rapid pace than what we can accommodate or what we can do to get them jobs. So, I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to get into the political stuff, but I'm just talking about the trade war that's happening with China. It depends on how you fall, what side you fall on, whether you believe, just it's all about capital, or whether it's about the people in the trucks or that are loading the trucks up, how you feel about that. But either way, it's just crazy because, like I say, technology is replacing people at a rapid rate. And even if it's not replacing people, it's just upgrading in general, because California is about to make a big jump in their electric usage of electric trucks as well. So, it's just technology is making the world evolve at a rate that I think most of us are just not prepared to really deal with. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say, in a situation like that. Do you go back to school? Is that the end all be all to it all? Or, what professions will be around in the next 10 years? What will be different than what it is now? No matter where you go, we're all seeing a contraction across the board in the amount of people that's required to do a particular job. I was telling my daughter the other day, I said, when I was growing up, I worked at a grocery store as a kid. And, I was a bagger when I was like 14 or something like that. I started working when I was young, really young. And so I said, when we worked in the grocery store, and this is a really nice area of town, mind you, think like River Oaks. If you're in Houston, think like that. It's like Myers Park in Charlotte is like River Oaks in Houston. So I worked at as a bagger, and we had, on average, somewhere between 8 to 10 baggers at least in their after school all the time. You probably had 8 to 10 cashiers, if not 12 cashiers in the grocery store at all times. You know what I mean? So there was no self checkout. There was no oh, I'm just gonna take my groceries over here and do and get out the way. Now today, when you go into the grocery store, there are maybe 2 cashier lines open, and there's one person monitoring like 6 different checkout little counters, and you're just doing it all yourself. So it's just, it's showing you like time is changing, like everything is changing, like they don't need as many people anymore to do those same jobs. So it's like, what really can you do if you're not going to learn how to build computers or something, and that's partly one of the reasons why I want to stop and say, okay, how do I build that website? I kind of need to know how to do that, because you never know. The way this world is changing, you need to kind of have a little different skill set than probably what you had to have 10 years ago when you first walked into your profession, because the thing with law school, and I'm going real off subject here, that's what I do sometimes. The thing with law school is that, law school doesn't prepare you for the practice of law. I'm sorry, it doesn't, Yeah, so law school doesn't prepare you It doesn't. What you do is you go to school, you learn some things, you learn how to shepherdize and look up case law and stuff like that. But there, I mean, there's no entrepreneurship class. Well, maybe there is now. There's no, they just don't teach you how to build it up from the ground up, and that's what you have to know how to do these days. You have to go out here and figure that out, which is one reason why I went ahead and got my MBA while I was in school, because I was like, I might have to come out here and work for myself. I don't know. I have to. I need to be equipped with as much knowledge as I possibly can when I walk out these doors, because the world is not it's just not going to give you what you want all the time without having to work hard for it. So that's that. But yeah, so I talked about the Trump situation, and I don't know if there were any local truck wrecks in the Houston area or San Antonio. I'm about to leave out of here in the next few minutes and go pick these ladies up, but let me see. Every time I go look up a truck accident in Houston, this one video pops up of this dash cam that captures a chain reaction crash here on US 290 with an 18-wheeler. And it always just kind of trips me out, because in this situation, the 18-wheeler hit this car on US 290, which is the main highway that my main law office is situated off of. And he swerved over into this other person's lane. He hit him, and he didn't. Then he just kept going. Like, the 18-wheeler just kept going. And he said that he didn't know that he hit the car. And I mean, I'm like, he like totally damaged the front side of it, like completely, and he just drove off. So that's a potentially punitive damages case. But I don't know. We'll see. So on my restream, I need to go check and see if this is actually working on this new site. So I'm not sure if it is or not. I seem to have some resizing issues with this site right now. See, it's not even streaming to it live. It's supposed to stream live. Let me see if it's. That's what I'm saying. Like, I always have to go back and check this stuff and make sure it's working right. Yeah, something is definitely not working right, because okay, yeah, see, it's working. It's working on my main website, but for some reason, okay, now it is working. Excuse me. Now it is working on this site. I'm having like resizing issues on San Antonio truck accident.lawyer, as far as the widget is not filling up the entire middle space like it's supposed to. So I don't really know what to do about that, because it looks weird. It doesn't look weird on a mobile phone, but it looks weird on a desktop when you're looking at the website. So I got to figure that out in the next few days. I'm not exactly sure why it's doing that. Let me see if I do this, whether that will make a difference or not. See, what I'm worried about is the fact that I think I may have to delete every stream out of that San Antonio truck accident.lawyer site and then put it back in later or something. And that would suck. Yeah, it's not, something's wrong with it. Like maybe they're limiting the stream. I'm not exactly sure, but it's not working like it's supposed to. And I know, see, the Houston truck accident one works well. So that one is together. Yeah, I gotta delete that. I'm gonna have to do something about that, because I don't know why is it doing that. I don't know. I gotta figure that out. So yeah, back to the Houston truck accidents. I don't know if anything happened in the past few days here. Yeah, so there was this one thing that I wanted to briefly talk about that really kind of blew my mind. I don't know if it was a truck accident case though, but so about a day ago in Sealy, Texas, which is like I want to say north of Houston. Let me look that up real quick. Nobody can tell me. It's in Austin County, so it's up there. Yeah, it's up there in like the Woodlands, Sugarland area. I mean, the Woodlands area, or maybe it's not. Maybe it's in the. Okay, Sealy is over here. Like if you're riding I-10, leaving Houston going to San Antonio, so it's like past. It's past like the Katy, Texas area. And if you didn't know, Katy, Texas is like one of the fastest growing areas in the United States right now. It's like a bustling. It used to be just kind of like a suburb of Houston, but now it's like it's its own little thing, man. I mean, Houston is huge. I can't underscore just how big the city is. It is enormous. Like if you move here, you never really truly have to leave this city again if you don't want to, because there's just so much stuff here. Everybody's here. Everything is here. I mean, everything. Like whatever you want to do, whatever you want to eat, wherever you want to go, it's all in this city. You know what I mean? For real. And it has some of the best food in the nation. So if you haven't been to Houston, you should really come down here and check it out. But anyways, like I said, so a wrong way driver was killed on Interstate 10 and identified as a Houston Police Department, a Houston police officer. And she was driving the wrong way on Interstate 10 when she crashed into a she crashed into an 18-wheeler. Okay, I didn't mean to do that. That's the website. But yeah, it says a woman was killed in a wrong way crash on Thursday morning on Interstate 10, has been identified as an off-duty Houston police officer. I'm not going to say her name, but she was from Katy. She was traveling the wrong way in the westbound lanes in a Toyota Tacoma when it collided into a 2018 Kenworth truck. According to the Texas Department of Public Safety, it happened just before 6:30 a.m., approximately 10 miles east of Sealy. So she was like in between Sealy and Katy, because like it's Sealy, Katy, then Houston. And then it identifies the guy who was the driver of the Kenworth, and he wasn't injured. But she was pronounced dead at the scene. That's horrible. It's not yet known why she was driving in the wrong direction. There were no immediate signs of intoxication, but the case is still under investigation. It's the second wrong way crash in the greater Houston area in less than 24 hours. A passenger was killed in a crash involving a wrong way driver on Interstate 45. See, when I initially heard that, this is what I thought this was the same case. So I was like, oh, this is the wrong way driver case. But that same thing happened on Interstate 45 around 2 a.m. on Thursday. And so it took the investigators and crews around 6 hours to clear the crash along I-10. She had joined HPD in 2017 and was assigned to the Northeast Patrol Division. That's horrible. But yeah, the thing about I-10, like I said before, I don't know if I said this to you guys, but I-10 is a very, 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 very dangerous road. It's actually one of the most dangerous roads in the United States. I think Interstate 10 and I-35 that goes through San Antonio were deemed two of the most dangerous roads in the nation. The 610 loop on the west side of Houston is the most congested highway for like the fourth year in a row in the state of Texas. I mean, that's how bad the traffic is. So bad right there. It's so bad. But I-10 is very dangerous, and it's because, like I said, when you're in the city, there was an expose. I don't know if that's the right word, but there was an article written in the Houston Chronicle some time ago how they were talking about how the city streets were constructed, and how the streets in Houston are built for speed. I mean, they're built for you to get where you're gonna go. So, if you come down here and you get on I-10, and that's like your first time, like in a huge city, you're gonna be overwhelmed because there's like 6 lanes or 7 lanes sometimes on each side of the highway. Okay, now when you drive out towards like Katy and the Sealy area, it minimizes or boils down. It goes down to like 2 lanes each way. And the thing about it is, what makes it so dangerous, and why I'm so like kind of baffled about by her driving the wrong way, is that when you get out to that area, you're dealing with like a ton of 18-wheelers out there. I mean, like, and the thing too is, in some of those areas, when you initially leave that Katy area, and I think you're around the Sealy area, there are a lot of like concrete barriers up, so that there's really nowhere else to go but like along the road. And I don't know if that's because of the construction or what, but it's a really dangerous area to be driving in, and you can and there's so many 18-wheelers on the road. Even when you're driving in the right direction, you have to just kind of like give them their space. And that's why I always try to tell people, like, I mean, I do this for a living. This is what I do. This is the business that I'm in. But, if you can avoid an accident, one of the best ways to avoid an accident with an 18-wheeler is just to give them and that truck, give it the respect that it deserves. Because your little car, no matter whether it's an SUV or a little truck or whatever you think you're driving, cannot compare to the power, and the weight and the force that's behind, an 18-wheeler. So, like I said, when you're on I-10 though, I mean, it's so crowded, and like I was driving down there for Michael Cowan's Big Rig Boot Camp, and I drove down there like early in the morning on the day of the event. Like, I just got in my car from Houston, just drove down to San Antonio the same day. And when I was driving, I mean, there were like situations at times where there were like 3, 4 18-wheelers on the road in front of me or behind me or something like that. And I'm like, hey, I'm gonna get out of this situation. I'm gonna get out of their way and let them just kind of do what they need to do, because you have to give them that respect. Even if you think you're in the right on the road or whatnot, it doesn't matter, because you're playing with your life potentially when you're out here trying to navigate around these much bigger vehicles. So, yeah, that was the other thing I think that I wanted to briefly talk about, was that wrong way driver that had that wreck with the Kenworth truck. But they're going to do their research on it or whatnot. I think that would be a very hard case to win. I mean, as an attorney, I mean, because like I said, the question is going to come down to is like, why was she driving the wrong way? You know what I mean, on the road. So I'm sure the facts will come out and all that, and I can't wait to see what they have to say about it all. But that's a very sad situation, no matter how it turns out. I mean, it just really is. And let me see. I was amazed, the other day, that I was looking at these different locations that I'm trying to expand into, and I just was trying to look at their traffic and see what types of things are happening in these different cities. And El Paso seemed like it had a few different wrecks, like in short order, and just like in a, well, I guess maybe it's just like once a month, so I guess that's not too big of an issue. But just the amount that the frequency, I guess, that which they were happening was kind of baffling. I've never been out to El Paso. I've never been to Laredo either, and I'm really interested to get out there to those areas and kind of see what's going on out there, because, like I say, Laredo is a major import-export city for the United States, and I think Nuevo Ciudad Nuevo. Or I could be saying that wrong. Or I could be talking about the completely wrong city. I think that's like a sister city of Laredo. So I need to get out there and see what that's all about, because a ton of 18-wheelers are coming through there, and that might be a prime area for me to not necessarily live, because I don't think I would want to live down there. I'm sure if it gets hot here, I'm sure it's really hot down there. But like I said, I want to get down there to visit because I mean it's not too far from San Antonio, and I've already been down to San Antonio more than a few times. I haven't got to go to a Spurs game yet, but I'm gonna make it down there. I'm gonna make it. I've had a few chances to go when I don't know, I got tired or lazy or I had some puffy tacos and I was like, I'm just gonna go ahead and take it to the house and lay down. But my battery's about to die in my laptop. Maybe that's a signal that I need to get off of here. I was trying to find different ways to to quickly switch my websites over from like one keyword or one phrase to the other. I tried to find this plugin. I thought it would help, but it's not working at all. So I got to find another way to do all that. I just got a lot of stuff on my plate. I'll be back in here next week, though. I mean, the game doesn't stop for me. I don't know whether you guys are going to be working next week or not, but I'll be here, The game doesn't stop, so I'll be here working. And like I said, I'll be back in here a little later today once I, make sure everybody's straight on the home front. But that's really it. I'm surprised this GoPro has lasted this long. It's like 36 minutes and it's still going strong. I don't really have too much to do today. I've done everything I need to do. The things I thought I was going to be able to do, I'm not going to be able to do today, so it kind of threw me off. Like I said, I thought that I was going to have my San Antonio office verified, new location, new address, all of that. But it's going to take like 2 to 3 more weeks, they're saying, at least. And then I found a location in Austin. And I gotta find an office location in Fort Worth. And I gotta build out those websites in January. So, and I gotta get to Corpus Christi eventually, but I'm not gonna really rush that. I'm not really rushing. All in due time, my friend. But but it's quite possible that I may have 12 locations by the end of 2020. I mean, that is 12 satellite offices. So that's the goal. It's been quite an experience learning how to put all this stuff together. But one thing I will tell you, if you're an entrepreneur or a business person, is that just don't give up. Because every experience that you're going through is a learning experience. That's what I had to learn. I went into so many different areas of law before I found exactly what I wanted to do. And every time I went into an area, whether I failed or I did well in it or whatever, I always learned something that I could apply to like the next thing that I'm doing. So that's really, it's a building process. Like every time, something collapses or every time you go into a different area from what you were doing, you're already kind of taking something with you from the past, to help you in the future. And that's been like the most important lesson for me to learn. And the fact that, you got to start a business, man. I'm a big believer in that. I used to be somebody who, I just kind of wanted to find a job and just go work somewhere and, just be a good employee and everything like that. And I still kind of feel like, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with being an employee at all. But it's always good to have something else going on for yourself. Even if it's just like a little side thing, a little side thing, it's always good to have something going on for yourself, some extra way to just kind of bring in a little income, or maybe have a hobby that could potentially expand into, something of your own, because one thing that I do like as far as being an entrepreneur is the freedom. And you don't have a lot of freedom. Don't get it twisted. There's not like freedom in the sense that, I'm just going to do what I want when I want to do it all the time. You still have to do the work, and you still have to do a ton more work than you ever had to do when you were working for someone else, I think. you're so much more responsible for everything. But it gives you a lot more respect for people who have their own businesses and stuff, because you know what is across the nation and across the state of Texas receive the care and compensation that they deserve when they are injured in a car accident, truck accident, motorcycle accident, whatever have you. But mostly I deal with motor carriers and truck accidents. Listen, I didn't plug this book earlier, so I'm going to plug it now. Look, if you are injured in a car accident, you need to go to my website. You can go to HoustonTruckAccident.lawyer. You can go to SanAntonioTruckAccident.lawyer, and you can pick up this book, which is a free ebook I wrote myself for you, with you in mind. And it's just really like, even if you are dealing with a situation where you feel like you don't need an attorney, and sometimes you don't. If you're not going to go to the doctor, or maybe you just have some issues about how to close your case out, you can read that book. You can download it for free. Maybe that might answer some of your questions for you. However, I would always recommend that if you're going to be involved in a personal injury situation, that you at least seek a free consultation from a personal injury attorney. The reality of it is that we don't get paid unless you get paid. We don't get paid until you get paid. So there's a built-in incentive for us to bust our butts to get you as much money as possible, as fast as possible. So I like the idea that I don't have to try to shake people down, whatever, for money. There's been a wrong committed, and the insurance company is there to cover that wrong when it is committed. That is their job, and my job is to get the money from them. So I like what I do. I used to practice criminal law. I hate bickering with people about, the money they owe me on a DWI case or whatever, when they have kids to feed or whatever, and so I don't do that anymore, unless, like I say, it's a situation where somebody really needs my help, and that's like somebody I know, then I'll jump in there. But just to be dealing with that stuff on a 9-to-5 basis, not my MO. The other thing that I will say is that I am practicing Social Security disability law as well. It's a new area for me. I'm just now jumping into it, but I'm really excited about it because it runs parallel to the things that I do now as far as personal injury. Oftentimes, if someone's been involved in a catastrophic wreck, accident, something like that, they may not be able to get back on their feet in the same way as they were before. They may not be able to work at the same level that they were able to before. They may have some type of disability now, and because of that, we have Social Security to help them in those types of situations. Now, there comes a time, some situations where you may fill out the applications for yourself, and you may be denied or rejected, and you may be facing a hearing. Well, I could help you out in any of those situations, but primarily, the type of Social Security issues that I deal with is when someone has been denied already. Generally, if they've been denied twice, that's when I would step in and represent them in a hearing before the judge, as far as the as far as their Social Security disability situation. So if you have someone that's going through that type of situation, you can give me a call at 713-766-3322. That's 713-766-3322. That's in Houston. San Antonio, 210-504-6454. 210-504-6454. And because Social Security disability is a nationwide practice, I can take those cases anywhere in the United States, okay? So if you are dealing with a Social Security disability case in Louisiana, Texas, Arizona, Alaska, I don't care. I'll take that case as well. You can call me at 1-800-688-7551. That's 1-800-688-7551. Especially if this is tied to a personal injury case and you're not sure about what you want to do on that side of things. You don't have an attorney. You've been involved in a truck wreck. You're trying to figure it all out. Give me a call or go to my website, download your free ebook, and give me a ring. I probably have to update the phone numbers in there, but like I say, the number that you need to call me is in big writing on my website, so you shouldn't be able to miss that. And if you go to my website, you can always click on if you're on the mobile app, you can scroll down to the call now function, and my phone number should pop right up. You give me a call, we can talk. Now, I forgot what I was talking about earlier before I went into that ice cold advertisement. No, I'm just kidding. But like I said, because this is Friday, I'm just kind of freestyling it for the next 4 minutes, it looks like, or until this GoPro cuts off, which might be at any moment now. When you work for yourself, you have to work harder than you ever had to work before. But it's just something to be able to say, you know what? It's 2:00 in the afternoon. I'm about to go do my grocery shopping at Target, and you can go do that, and it's like, no lines, and you can just kind of get in and get out, get your stuff, put it where it needs to be. I love that. I hate the idea of having to be kind of like, not necessarily the rat race, but I hate to have to kind of like run at the same pace as everyone else or faster all the time. Have to go out on the weekends and deal with the crowds and everything else like that. I'm more of a laid back person. I mean, I like my space. So I like being an entrepreneur. It works for me because it gives you a much more ability to manage your life at a reasonable level. You know what I mean? I think, like I say, sometimes when you have to do things at the same speed as everybody else, it can be tiresome. But when you can kind of move at your own pace, it just makes life a bit more pleasant and simpler. So that's one of the reasons why I started working for myself. Like, people always ask, like, why did you become a truck accident lawyer? Why did you come out here and decide to do this stuff for yourself? Because I've worked since I was 14, man, at other jobs. I mean, I've been working. I worked 3 jobs before I went to law school, all at the same time. Like, I wasn't gonna come back out here and just be like, okay, well, just throw me back in the workforce and give me some crappy job with some crappy pay and treat me horribly. Like, no, that's not how this is gonna work. Okay, so I enjoy what I do now. I get to help people. I think I provide a really good service because I know for a fact, for the most part, that if I don't give people more money in their pocket, on these cases, I'm pretty sure I do. For cases that don't have to go to trial, and I'm working on that side of things too. I'm working on building up my trial side of my practice as well, because the reality of it is this: like 85 to 90% of civil cases settle. So that wasn't a statistic that was given like 10 years ago. We live in an era now where people arbitrate, where people settle out of court at a much higher clip than they did 10 to 15, 20 years ago. So not as many cases are actually going to trial. True, you may have to file a lawsuit and kind of take it through the necessary steps of like depositions and stuff like that. Depositions, anybody really could learn how to do that stuff. I mean, but not as many cases actually go to trial. And so what they always impress upon young attorneys are, attorneys just starting a practice area, is get in there, go to trial. But I'm working on that side of things now because I've kind of paired myself up with, higher esteemed trial attorneys. And that's the goal for me, really, in general, is that I'm going to set up all these law offices across the state of Texas. And, I'm going to work with the best attorneys in every area and just kind of build up my practice from there. Because, the thing about life is that, or at least this is what I have learned. No matter where you grow up, no matter what you do, there will be people who you will meet who will do bad things, and there will be people that you meet who do good things. Or there will be people who have done bad things or have lived lives that they don't appreciate. And there will be people who will be very successful. And there's just as much to learn from the man that's down on his luck as the person who is flying high. You know what I mean? So that's how I've always viewed life. I feel like that's how I've gotten to the point where I'm at. It's because I look at everybody as important. Everybody's important. It's important to learn from every person. You know what I mean? And once you get to a certain point, you're like, okay, well, I know where I need to go now. So I got to put myself around those types of people who can open up those doors for me, or who are already where I want to be. And so that's how I view it now. You know what I mean? I'm not looking down on anybody. I'm not saying I'm better than anybody, but I know who I need to be surrounding myself with. You know, I need to be around the best truck accident lawyers, because I mean, let's not be foolish here. I mean, you can call yourself the best, this, that, or the other, you know, but there'll always be someone out here more experienced than you in one form or facet of the practice of law, in some shape or form. You know, like I might be the most experienced at marketing. You know, I might be the most experienced at, you know, how to build a site or how to talk to clients or just being more relaxed around people. You know, somebody else might know the rules of civil procedure a lot better. So what you got to do is you got to pair that stuff together. You got to put it together. You know, you can't. No man is an island. You gotta do it together. And so that's the goal. You know, these older attorneys have already mastered a lot of these things that I'm just now grasping. So care and compensation that they deserve when they're injured by